Good evening. I'm Joseph Arce with the Department of Parks and Recreation. Thank you for attending the Largo Kettering Perrywood Community Center Playground Renovation Community Meeting. We will start in a few minutes. Hopefully we can get some more people trickling in. Please, for right now, keep yourselves on mute and your videos off. And then we can take any other questions at the end of the PowerPoint. Good evening, everyone. I'm Joseph Arce, or JJ, with the Department of Parks and Recreation. Thank you for joining us tonight. I do want to wait at least one more minute to let a few more people trickle in. If not, we can get started. But yes, please keep yourself on mute for right now. We can open it up at the end of the presentation for questions. Okay, I guess we'll just go ahead and get started. All right, again, thank you guys for coming tonight and attending the Largo Kettering Perrywood Community Center Playground Replacement Community Meeting. This is a very exciting process for us, and I'm sure for you and your kids in the neighborhood. And so the purpose of this meeting is to explain the project scope and get your thoughts on the elements and types of pieces of equipment for this new playground, or for the replacement of this playground. And so this is the quick agenda for the night. So I'll introduce the project team. We're gonna also do a few surveys and poll questions, and I'll explain how you can submit your answers to those. And then go over the existing conditions and project scope, and then do another survey where you can look at different types of equipment, how it's being used, and submit your preferences. So with me tonight, I have Francis Kang, who is a project manager for this playground replacement. He is the landscape architect and also with the Department of Parks and Recreation. And we also have Steve Linish with Game Time, who is our vendor and contractor for this playground replacement. And so now we want to know some about you guys. Again, how this process will work. For each question, please respond in the chat function your answers. So for example, with question 1, please write Q1 and then your zip code. For question 2, write Q2 and then choose an option A, B, C, and D. I'll give everyone a few minutes. Since we have a smaller number of participants, and I know that this could be a little challenging for some to fill out the survey, Ayana, can you actually take everyone off of mute? And then I'll just take some questions about the process for this.
Yeah, give me a second. Let me see if I can.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone should have mic privileges now. Still no camera privileges, but we are getting some chat answers if you wanted me to read them off for you.
Sure, yeah.
So right now, everyone's joining us from 20774. The first answer from Tamara is Question 2, she has age 6 through 12 in her household. Pat doesn't have any children, but we're still happy to have them with us. And Deborah has 13 through 15-year-olds.
Perfect. So I understand that this process, as you can see, there are no kids around right now, but we will be posting this survey and presentation online. And so all the survey questions that we will provide you, or that we are giving you guys tonight, will be on the project website for 2 weeks. So the purpose is to collect as much input as possible on the types of play equipment at this playground. So if you know anyone else around your neighborhood who would love to participate in this process, please feel free to shoot out the project website. And so we can also post the project website in the chat function, or it is in the chat function now. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact myself. And my contact information is on the webpage. So we'll go to the next question. Again, this is more about you guys. Please do the same thing. So if you have a question for Q3, designate the letter for your response. So the first question, Q3, is how do you describe your ethnicity? Q4, how would you describe your gender? And then Q5, do you or your family have any ADA, disability, or special accessibility needs? And so answering these questions, I think you can, submit a few answers if they apply differently to different members of your family. We're just trying to get an idea of who's participating tonight and if we should be aware of any type of accessibility needs for your family and neighborhood. And then, yeah, I'll give another 2 minutes for this question as well. Okay, and I can see some of the responses on my phone. Okay, and then, yeah, we can move on to the next question. And I'm just thinking now, I think with the number of participants as of right now, we can have an open dialogue, especially when we come to the playground equipment. So if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand in the function, and we can select you to speak. Okay, so now I'm going to pass it off to Francis Kang to go over the existing conditions and project scope.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Francis Kang, the project manager of this project. First, I would like to take a few minutes and go over some background information of the playground so everybody is on the same page. First is the location. This area photo shows the entire site. The community center and the schools are on the left. I believe there's also another playground on the back of the building, but the one we're doing is close to the entrance, next to the tennis court and the basketball court. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, right there. Okay, as you can see, the existing play structures are functional, but kind of old and outdated. The main structure is still okay, but the other two play structures are small and the play values are very, very limited. The entire playground seems empty. The space is not fully utilized. The other thing is we don't have a swing in this playground. And the swing motion is very hard to replace by any play structure. So there's something we need to keep in mind for a new playground. Next slide, please. When we look at the playground, we're looking for any potential issues that will affect the renovation. And here are what we found. The concrete sidewalk is in good condition, and we have good ADA access from the parking lot, and that's good. The size is very typical for a playground at this level, around 5,000 square feet. The entire playground is relatively flat, but there are slopes outside the borders. The good thing about the slope is that it will provide good drainage. But on the other hand, we cannot build a playground on the slope. So if the future playground goes outside the existing footprint, we'll need low retaining walls, which will increase the cost a little bit. Other than that, I don't see anything particular that we need to be aware for the renovation. Next slide, please.
And just to piggyback on that really quick, and so for this project, we are keeping to that 5,000 square feet. Again, just reutilizing what is there as it is flat, and it has good drainage. So we're trying our best to not. Sorry, can someone put themselves on mute? Thank you. So again, we're reutilizing the existing square footage and not expanding it because of some of the environmental features and timing.
Here's an example that should give you a good idea of the future playground. The size will be 5,000 square feet, just like JJ said. It will be the same size of the existing playground. You will have two main play structures. One is designed for 2 to 5 years old, and the other one is designed for 5 to 12. The playground will have two swing bays for two different groups I just mentioned. And each swing bay will have two swing seats. We will have at least one freestanding play structure from the result of your input. The playground will have a low fence on four sides, which is the request by our community center staff. The surfacing will be EWF, which stands for engineered wood fiber. And of course, the playground will meet all the standards and guidelines, including ADA. Next slide. Here are some playground examples that I've done in the past. I've worked with the Park and Planning for over 19 years and built over 35 playgrounds during this time. Playground design is very subjective and sometimes can be technical. There are quite a few standards and guidelines that we need to follow. We will use the same approach and the same standards for this project as well. Other than the surfacing, the final product will be very similar to what you see here. Next slide.
And so we're on to the fun part, where we can look at, well, we'll show some of the playground equipment, playground styles, and so use your imagination. Do what you think, the kids in your family or even yourselves would want to run around in. And so it's going to be the same format where we will be taking your responses in the chat box. So for example, for Q6, if you prefer one of the two, then put in 1, right? Q6, 1. So we understand that your preference is the traditional versus the modern. And so I'm going to tag team this section with both Francis and Steve for kind of an explanation about the differences of play, how kids use their bodies, and the overall function and layout and how that would fit within this 5,000 square feet.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Steve Lanish. I'm with Game Time Playgrounds. I've been working in the playground industry for about 22 years now. Quick explanation of these two structures that are shown for the younger children, the 2 to 5. The one on the left, number 1, is more of a traditional post and platform type of structure, very much like the large structure that's at the park right now or the playground. It utilizes a transfer platform to allow the children to get up on that, and everything is connected through either decks or bridges and ramps, and has many different components coming off the sides. And then the one number 2 is more of our modern one, which is our Modern City line, which has many of the same components, but is a lot more artsy, is designed to be more artistic to the view, has many of the same types of components, slides and climbers, but just gives you a very different look to it and is a little bit bigger in many cases than the traditional post and deck platform.
Just add to that, the modern structure, the design trend is they intend to confuse the kids. So the kids have to come up their own way to play this structure. So it's more challenging, at least in my view.
And then, and just to specify, all the images for the next few questions, all the images that we are showing are just samples. So these are not the exact equipment pieces that that you will be getting. The responses for the following questions will help us determine, how to put the pieces together, and the type of play that's desired at this playground. So, and also because of the smaller group, if anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and we can take the time to kind of discuss this if you would like. Hi, I know someone unmuted themselves. Do you have a question?
Yes. I got in a bit late. What is the surface?
So the surface will be like wood chips. It's called engineered wood fiber.
Okay, because I've worked in all three of your community, the first three of your community park schools, and what I found was using the wood chips, it will be scattered all
Yes,
the
so
side. Instead of, couldn't you use something like fiber, more or less a rubberized surface to?
yes, so
It tends to wash, the wood chips tend to wash away.
right, right. Yeah, so this is something that the department is trending towards, using wood fiber for most of all our playgrounds, but we'll definitely take it into consideration as for the type of surface as we start to get more input on the design and uses of the park. But like overall, I'd say the department is trending towards just using the wood fiber for maintenance purposes and for longevity purposes.
Can I say something on that?
Sure.
Again, this is Francis. There are many reasons we kind of trend in that direction. The rubber will look very good in the first year, but can start fade away after that. It's very expensive compared to the wood chips. It's very difficult. It's kind of more difficult to maintain. And after a few years, we cannot install rubber when the temperature start dropping under 40. And so we have to stop the construction and come back the next year. So that kind of created quite a bit of problem for us. And there's some growing public concerns of the rubber that might contain lead. So I think all those reasons kind of made us kind of toward to use EWF.
So you're saying, I'm gathered from you what you just said, is a much more environmental product, better environmental product?
Yes, there's no perfect surface for playground. But I can assure
But when
you,
ranking it, yes, it is more of an environmental,
right.
let's say product as well.
So, like you said, it's a wood-based product.
Correct.
Where can I,
And then so for maintenance wise, the maintenance will continue, or the department staff will continue to maintain this playground and make sure that the EWF is spread evenly and to the standard for a playground.
okay.
Okay.
Well, thanks for the question.
I'll go on to the next question. So as Francis was saying previously, there will be swings at this site. There would be 2 bays. So the first bay will have 2 belt seats. So for adults or any kid over 5 years old who want to swing alone. So, and the next bay will also have another set of swings. And so for this question, we'd like to gauge what types of swings you would like for that second bay. Second bay can be focused for ages 2 to 5, where we have the individual tot seats, or family or group swings, where it can be more interactive with your family members and anyone else at the park.
And I believe the differences is for the tot seat, the parents are behind their kids and pushing them, and on the second option is the parents can swing with the kid.
Yep. So again, to submit your answers, you can put in the chat box with the number question, so Q7, and then your preference. Does anyone have any questions about the swing set?
How could I upload the specs, the specifications for the swing sets?
I'm sorry?
How can I get information regarding the swing sets, like the specifications?
So we can definitely send some information about how these pieces of equipment can be used or are used, and online after the meeting.
Are we gonna have some follow-up meetings about?
Yes. So let's wait to the end. I know you missed some in the beginning, but I'll go over the process at the end of the meeting at the last slide again.
Okay.
But everything else will be on the website.
JJ, real quick, some of that may be about the expression swing, which is number 2, where the adult and the child can swing face to face. All of this equipment meets the IPEMA standards and has been certified as safe for children's playgrounds. So if that is a concern where you're looking at that piece and saying, I'm not sure if that looks right, all of this stuff has been tested by IPEMA, which is the independent play equipment manufacturers, and everything has been certified as playground safe.
Pat, I see that you submitted W7-3. So question 7, and then, sorry, I just want to get a clarification on what the 3 is. Option 2. Or, I'm sorry, that was someone else. Oh yeah, okay. For right now, we can move on. And then now we are moving on to the 5 to 12 main structure, where we are choosing the style of main structure. So again, we have the traditional, where it's posts and decks. We have number 2 is modern or rope, and then number 3 is hybrid. So a little bit of combination of each. Again, these pieces of equipment are not the exact pieces that you will get. It's just style. So how do you want to play? How do your kids prefer to play? Yeah. So please select one and put it into the chat. with Q8 and your selection. I see we got a vote for hybrid.
Can
I think
I
for the
vote?
most part, we, I wish we could. I think for the most part, Francis, correct me if I'm wrong, most communities are now trending towards the modern or hybrid types of play structures. It's a lot more engaging. It's a lot more, you know, define your own type of play and how you use the equipment.
Yeah. The design trend is toward at least hybrid because now it's like they want the kids to find their own way to play this. Is the traditional, they can be very fancy, but they kind of limited the route how to play this structure.
And another thing, Francis, real quick, is that with the hybrid, there is more flexibility as to the choice of components that are put
Right.
on that play structure, where a lot of the modern or rope ones are a set design that don't have the flexibility to put the wide range of components on there. They just don't have the areas conducive for adding certain things.
Okay, we'll go to the next slide. Okay, so this slide, we're asking you to choose the different types of play components that will be attached to the 5 to 12 play structure. So there are 9 options. Again, these are not the exact pieces of equipment, but types of activities and types of ways that children can use the play equipment. And so we'll go through each of the 9 and kind of show you zoom-ins of what they are. And for this, it's a little bit different. So please choose 5, but prioritize them 1 to 5. So if you like, for example, the upper body, the spinners, musical instruments, slides, and bridges, you can put Q9 and then the number in priority. So for example, I'd put upper body, so Q9, 1, 6, 8, 5, and 7. And so I'd prioritize the upper body, then the slides, then the musical instruments, spinners, and bridges. Again, if you have any questions about how to submit your response, please feel free to ask. And while we do that, we'll go ahead and go through the zoom-ins of each piece of equipment. The first 3 are upper body, then wall or rock climber, and then number 3 is another type of climber. It's just using metal wires, and you can see it can kind of get branded a little bit as well, and with themes.
Right. And number 1 is more like the old type of monkey bar where you have the children actually hanging from it, moving from pipe to pipe. Number 2 is more of a vertical rock wall using handholds that are designed for children to be able to use with their shoes on. And then number 3 is using metal piping, which is somewhat sloped and does allow for a different type of climbing sensation. It's not just straight up and down, but it's at an angle from the ground up to the platform. And you'll notice that these all have the safety barriers up at the top that are 15 inches wide, which is what the guidelines set out by ASTM dictate that we don't have open decks where kids can get pushed off of them. They're only 15 inches wide.
Okay, in the second set, we have play panels, spinners, and slides.
And on these different components on the play panels, they can either be attached to the structure at a ground level or up on the actual deck. And we have several different types that are both sensory, auditory, manipulative, and some of those actually have what we now call rotogen, which the child would spin that circular piece. And so we don't have to use batteries anymore. They could actually produce their own electricity for those. Of course, the spinners are widely popular, much different sensation than the swings. And then, of course, slides, and everybody knows about slides. So, and there's several different slides that we'll be looking at to add to the structure if that is indeed what is selected.
Just add to that, we're picking the activities, not the actual structure. And after we have your input, Steve and I will come in, we'll look at the space, we'll pick out the most popular one and fits the space the best.
Right.
And the last set of 3, bridges or transitions, musical instruments, and social activities.
And again, many of these are very self-explanatory. The bridges are one way to challenge the children to get from one platform to another. Most of them are from equal level height decks, but some of them do maybe go from a 3-foot deck up to a 5-foot deck, and it increases the challenge. And that's why these are used on the 5 to 12 age structures. Musical instruments, most of those will be more ground level, just because we can't have barriers that would impede the use of them if they are up on an elevated deck. And then the social activities, where we include some seats and chairs for the children to actually sit and congregate around the structure, not away from it, but actually within the footprint of the structure, so that we keep all the kids engaged, but do allow some quiet spaces for the children to use.
So I would just go back up to the 9. Again, choose your top 5 and prioritize them. And so again, this survey, these questions will also be online after this meeting. Community members have 2 weeks to submit input, any questions, and then we collect it and go on to the actual design phase. Any questions about submitting responses? Okay, yeah, I see some of the answers. So for question 9, 2, 5, 6, 8, and 1. So the walk around climber, spinners, slides, upper body, and musical instruments. I think for the Francis or Steve, can you kind of say which ones are most popular?
Number 5 is pretty popular. I see a lot of kids play on that. The rock climber is popular as well, but on a personal opinion, I think every play structure needs to have something for the upper body that help the kids quite a bit.
Right. A lot of people ask where the physical fitness equipment is for the children when they see a new example of a fitness area for adults. And that's where we don't want the kids to actually know it, but that's what a playground is. That's their fitness equipment. And the more they are challenged with upper body strength and strengthening, as well as fun, going down the slides and running around, that's probably one of the biggest areas that we see the kids that really like the slides, especially ones that might be a double slide so that they can race down the slides. And you'll actually see even the younger kids, the 5 and 6-year-olds, holding hands going down the slides. So we want to make sure that all those type of activities are addressed.
Okay. And now we'll go on to the freestanding pieces of equipment. And so these are images of the actual equipment that you can see that you're choosing from. Again, we have 9 options for this because of space and safety zones and how large potentially the main structures will be, the 2 to 5 and the 5 to 12. We can only give you 3 options, but again, prioritize all 3 just in case we can fit all 3. And so we'll go through all 9 again like we did last time. But again, these are the pieces of equipment that you will see at the play space. So the first 2 are surfboard and fusion.
And just a quick explanation, the surfboard is kind of like a teeter-totter that the kids actually can stand on. You can get 4 kids on that relatively safely, and it rocks back and forth. It's great for developing balance and having the children work together to get the surfboard moving back and forth. And number 2, the fusion is a spinning item where the kids actually can sit or lay on the actual piece of equipment and spin. It actually spins at a little bit of an up and down motion so that when the lower part of the bowl is closer to the ground, it does meet ADA guidelines for accessibility so that a child that may be somewhat limited in their physical ability can actually access that fusion piece number 2.
Next 2 is 2 different types of spinners. One is the G2 and the other is a tri-runner.
The G2 is named that way because that actual piece of equipment spins in 2 different ways. One, it actually spins on its axis, and then it also spins around in a circle. So the kids actually can manipulate that so they're actually spinning 2 different ways on that. It's a little challenging to get that going, but once they figure it out, it's a lot of fun. And number 4 is the tri-runner, which is a 3-place basic swing where they can they sit on a pod and it swings around in a circle. The tri-runner is a lot of fun, but it does take up a lot of space. So it also comes with the play panels or the colored panels on it, which give a different sensation. If you look underneath the young lady with the white shirt, you can see the color on the surfacing underneath her. And there's some play value to that too, as the sun moves, and that we've watched children run and chase after the different colors as the sun goes through those Lexan panels.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of I don't know what the ride is called, but at the carnival, the seats that are attached to some chains and you just start spinning. Yep.
Very much.
Okay, the next 2 are Rockall Seesaw and a Deco Rider. As you can see, the Deco Rider is more of the traditional piece of equipment, but Rockall is more modern, but also brings out, group activities for different ages. So Steve, I'll pass it off to you for any.
Sure. Yeah, number 5, the Rockall Seesaw is a relatively new piece of equipment that we've had over just the past couple of years. And like JJ mentioned, it does allow for group activities. It's basically like a teeter-totter that bounces up and down. You'll see that there's also someone sitting in the middle part of the pod, and the way the seats are actually conformed, that does allow for much added inclusive play, as the one wheelchair is empty there in the background, and the child was able to transfer into the seat and hold on, which of course is what we want everyone included in the play. And then number 6 is more like the traditional spring animal that has been around forever. These are just a little bit more modern take of it, and doesn't limit the kids as to, well, I don't want to be on a duck and I don't want to be on a squirrel. This here is more generic and allows them to let that spring deco rider be whatever they want it to be.
Next two are the Skyrunner and the Vista Tree.
The Skyrunner number 7 is what I would call an upside down merry-go-round. It's by far my favorite piece of equipment, freestanding equipment that we have. The one that you have here, you'll see, also has the Lexan panels, so you've got the shadow play involved also. You can probably, I've seen as many as 10, 12 children doing this, and this one here is our tilted Skyrunner, so it does have an up and down motion, and the kids learn quickly to get a little running head start and then lift up their legs. So it's great for their abdominal exercise, and they're also their upper body. I would put one of those in every playground if I was allowed to, just because of the play value that I've seen the children enjoy. So that's one of my favorites. And then number 8 is part of our new Vista ropes, and this is a rope net climber that actually spins. And so it does allow the different sensation of a net climber that the kids can climb up, get up off the ground, but then they also have the sensation of spinning. And of course, both of these meet the IPEMA, are both IPEMA certified pieces of play equipment. So there's no real cause for concern as far as safety goes.
Can you give some details on scales? So for these two, how tall are they? Because I can see that, so these kids are hanging off of the bar. How
Right.
large are these pieces of equipment?
I don't know exactly right off the top of my head, but I think the Skyrunner goes from like 5 foot to 5'5", because we got to make sure that the kids can actually access it. And then the Vista Tree is considerably taller, and that's probably closer to 10 feet tall.
Okay, nice. Okay. And then the last piece of equipment is the human-powered electronics.
Right. And this is the music ball, which does not actually need to be in a fall zone. It does not need to have safety service, since the kids do not actually get up on it. And it's got a crank on it, and you actually crank it and it starts playing music with it. And we're able to control the music that actually comes out of that. And we do have a couple of human-powered electronic pieces that'll be coming out soon. But I don't think we really want to discuss too many of those, because they haven't been released into production yet. And until they get IPEMA certified, I don't think we're talking about including them in this playground, which we're trying to have completed this year.
Okay, so one more round, looking at all the options. I saw that we got one response so far, 1, 5, and 7. Again, your top 3 and prioritize them. And I apologize. for this note right here. This note is wrong. This will be the exact piece of equipment.
Right.
But the colors will change depending on the theme, I believe. Any questions about the equipment? Okay, we'll move on. And so that's the end of the survey piece and the end of the presentation. I just wanted to share some next steps with you. Again, this survey will be posted online on the project website. Ayana, if you can post the project website one more time. And you'll see a description of the project timeline, and then the survey as well. If you have any questions, my contact information is online, so feel free to email me with any ideas and any concerns, comments about this process. If you know anyone in your community who, especially kids, who would love to, choose the types of pieces to play on, please feel free to send it out. Again, 2 weeks on March 4th, we will be closing it and collecting all the feedback. After that, Francis and Steve will work on the concept designs, and then they'll come up with 2 concept designs. We'll release it to the community and have you guys vote on which one you prefer. Also during that time, we'll ask you to also vote on the color schemes. So keep an eye out for that. And that'll probably be closer to the end of March, early April. And then construction would begin this fall. Again, thank you for participating in tonight's meeting. Since we do have time, I'll go ahead and ask Francis or Steve if they have anything else, but then I'll open it up for questions. So Francis, you want to go if you have anything?
Oh, I don't have anything to know. Just thank everybody for being here.
Steve?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everybody for participating in this. Francis and I have made many playgrounds over the years, but a playground really needs to be indicative of what the community wants. And by you participating and giving us your input, that makes it so much easier for us to make sure that we get something out there that you and your families are going to thoroughly enjoy. So thank you very much for participating.
Yes, just to get a little highlight on that, this playground is for you guys. So you and your neighborhood, for all the little kids that'll be coming through here. So we can't do this without you. So feel free to send us any, or feel free to let people know that the survey is online. But yeah, I will open it up. I will open it up to questions. If there are none, Francis and my contact are on here. Again, also on the website. So anyone have any questions, comments, ideas?
I see hand.
You see a hand. Go ahead and I can't see the screen, so go ahead and call them, Francis.
I don't see the names. I'm sorry.
Okay. You can unmute yourself. Who's ever.
It was me. Good evening.
Oh.
I have a question. This may have been stated. I may have missed it, so I apologize if I did. How long will it take to build once everything is, finalized and approved? I heard you say it will, the construction will begin in the fall. How long would the construction aspect take?
Well, once we break ground, usually take 2 months to complete everything, but it really depends on the weather. If there's a lot of rain days, of course, we will have a longer construction time.
And
Gotcha.
so
Thank you.
the schedule for the construction and design, everything will be updated on the website. And so I'll collect your contact information tonight from the registration page. Also put on like a sign up to be updated on the website. So for anything in particular about the schedule. I'll make sure that, you know, everyone who registers is up to date. Okay, I think that's it for right now. Again, thank you for attending tonight, and you will hear from us soon. But signing off right now. Y'all have a good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, good job, JJ. Okay, we need to do it again for
Nice
Upper
job.
Marlboro.
Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, thank you guys. That was great. I know I was really hoping for